everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about movies on this show. And in this episode, we are visiting a film from 2013 because the sequel is coming out soon, and that is Pacific Rim. Well, that's the original film. The sequel that's coming out soon is Pacific Rim Uprising. Which, regardless of what I think of how the film looks or the trailer, I'll keep all that until the end of the show. I think we'll talk about maybe possibilities for where we want or...
I should point out, I've not seen that trailer.
Well, regardless, thoughts on what the sequel might be, I'll give a bit of that at the end, and you can talk about it, maybe not with the trailer in mind, but just...
I can talk about what I don't know about that movie.
But I'll just say up front, Pacific Rim Uprising is such a generic direct-to-video title that...
It is, isn't it?
Just why? Just call it Pacific Rim 2.
Should just gone with 2, yeah.
Two's
safe. No one judges you for having a 2.
Yeah, or be slightly pompous and call it Pacific Rim Part 2. As if it was all planned out.
People will judge you for that.
As if it was all planned from the start. Pacific Rim 2 is, just as important. We'll start spoiler free as we always do. This is the Kaiju and Jaeger movie from 2013. Guillermo del Toro.
You say Jaeger, they're mechs. Let's call them mechs because that's what they are.
They're called Jaegers in the movie.
They are, but they're mechs. I just want to make that clear. You just don't like anime, so you're refusing to acknowledge that they are anime mechs just in live action.
No. I have nothing against mechs. But to me, this actually, I don't know if this qualifies exactly as a mech.
It does.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying that to me it doesn't necessarily feel like a mech. Because to me a mech is District 9, end of Aliens. That's a mech to me.
Oh, no. Anime mechs. And anything that you pilot that is a big exosuit. Sure.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying to me, I don't think of them the same way. To me, I think of a mech suit, I guess is what I'm saying. A mech. You wouldn't call that a mech suit. You just call it a mech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas a mech suit is something more of an Iron Man-esque thing where you just kind of wear it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. But hey. So yeah, but they're called Jaegers, and the monster's called Kaiju. And Kaiju, of course, is the classic term for a monster from a Japanese movie or something like that. And there's a rift in the Pacific Ocean, as the title would suggest, which has opened a portal to another dimension, another world, and these kaiju assholes are coming through and causing chaos, and that's kind of the premise of the movie. And to combat this, the governments of the world decide to stop all their disputes because, hey, we have to align and fight this threat together. So they agree to build their own monsters, as the opening narration puts it, in the form of giant robots that are piloted, which they call Jaegers, which is German for, was it warrior? Something like that.
It's not mech, so it's just I don't care.
I don't know why you're so against the word Jaeger.
I'm not. I just know that you would not acknowledge the anime roots, and I thought.
Oh, it's very anime. I'm not acknowledging anything. This is anime as shit.
It is. Yeah.
I'm not disputing that. This is clearly coming from a love of anime concepts. But here's the thing: the concepts of anime aren't my problem with anime. The concepts are actually things I like.
Yeah, they should be. Lots of good things.
It is the storytelling technique normally that I take umbrage with.
It's because you are an awful human being.
It is the convoluted mess that they often turn out to be. That said, we watched Ghost in the Shell hast year. I quite liked that. So, I hate all anime.
Yeah.
So
is that the first one you actually like?
Yes, I think so. I mean, unless we're counting Spirited Away, which I guess is kinda. But
it is.
It's not anime.
Style.
Yeah, it's not anime. You know.
Okay, I get you.
It's Japanese animation, sure, which technically makes it anime, but it's not anime.
What a strange distinction you have in your mind.
I don't think of Studio Ghibli as like...
In your mind, it's, I kind of like these, so it can't be anime.
No. I don't like all of them. There's some Ghibli films that I've been kind of male, and there's some that I really liked. But to me, those are like Japan's version of like
Disney.
Classic Disney movies, yeah. Whereas anime is more like kind of not even their answer to animation from the West, more their answer to like just TV from the West in a weird way.
Yeah, no, it is.
Obviously, we're talking about movies as well, but like I'm thinking typically when I say anime, I think of TV anime, series.
I think it's more prevalent.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of them are based off mangas, which are serialized. So.
But let's stop talking about something that I have no knowledge on, please, so that I don't just keep sounding
All
like
right,
a fool.
we'll talk about fighting some giant monsters.
So let's talk about Pacific Rim. So that's kind of the plot, and the movie actually, we kind of wrap up. We have a sort of montage at the start with some narration that explains the backstory and the start of this war. It's not the start of the conflict, we're actually getting towards the end of the conflict, where humanity, these Jaegers are starting to fail. They're not working the way they used to. All the other methods they're trying are kind of starting to fail. So we're kind of at the point now where we're going to start losing if something doesn't happen. So we're actually at the end of the war, if you will.
They're giving up and just building giant walls instead.
Yeah. Which, obviously, this was pre the wall talk in real life, but it's just kind of amusing now to like think about it. Because obviously,
got to keep out those monsters somehow. Where do you think you got the idea?
There's no intentional subtext in the movie, but it's hard not to chuckle and think that Trump is like, yes, this was
exactly. Was his inspiration.
Yeah. And it's equally stupid in this. It's not stupid in this because it's racist and xenophobic. It's just stupid because the giant monsters are going to crash through it, just like they do everything else. But hey, so yeah, that's the movie. So Connor had not seen this before.
No, I missed this when it came out for whatever reason, and then by the time it was worth watching, I figured, might as well wait till the new one's coming.
Of course. Obviously, the new one, we're going to have John Boyega in the lead role, and what's the name of the director? I like him though. I remember I like him. I mean, he's never done a movie before, but this is his first sort of big movie. When we talk about the end, I'll bring that up. Okay. But
yeah, that's why I said I've not even seen the trailer. I kind of avoided it because I've never seen this movie before, so I didn't see the point in watching material from that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it when it came out, and not only did I see it come out, I saw the trailer so often that I think just in my sleep every so often I'd be like shouting out, "Tonight we are cancelling the apocalypse!" like just over and over again in my sleep because I'd heard that in the trailer so goddamn much before it came out.
I think that's part of why I didn't see the movie when it came out. I was kind of sick of it, of how much I saw the trailer.
I love that speech though. See when you get to that speech in the movie though, I actually cheer when Idris Elba is just like, "Tonight we are cancelling the apocalypse."
Yeah, Idris Elba's great. He gives a hell of a speech.
He does. So I'll ask the question, Connor, did you enjoy Pacific Rim?
I did. I had a blast. Got some problems, but I had a blast.
I'm glad to hear that because when this came out, I also really enjoyed the movie. But when this came out, there was a very much a faction of people who were dead set against it and said, "Oh, it's just as bad as a Transformers movie. You only like this because Del Toro directed it." Or there was a lot of naysayers, a lot of people who think this is stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not high art. No one who likes this movie thinks it's high art. Let's make that clear. This is the movie equivalent of a director who reminisces of playing with his toys and wanted some cool toy fights, but with giant monsters with good visual effects and cities, and that's what this movie is. And I think as that, it succeeds pretty damn well.
It's pretty fun, and I mean, if you follow this series, you'll know we're working through all the old Godzilla movies, and that they're most of them at this point are kind of just, hey, let's fight some shit and have some fun. Yeah,
it's definitely. Obviously, he's a fan of those movies. There's no way he's not a fan of those movies.
He absolutely is.
And it's big. It is dumb. But it's not insultingly dumb. It's intentionally... It's
intentionally... Let's switch your brain off and have some fun.
Yeah, but this is the thing, though. You can't say that anymore. You say that phrase to me, you sound like someone who's apologetic about Transformers 5, not someone who actually likes a good fun movie. There's a difference, right? Because those movies are so insulting with how they treat you as a viewer, and the way they're made, the way it jumps around, they're bloated. This movie's not bloated. That's the first thing I want to say, is that it's actually really tight in what it's doing.
It is, yeah.
Because the first thing I like about it, actually, I mentioned it when I was describing what the movie was, but I like that it's not the start of the fight. It's actually the end. We're actually at the tail end where, like, we're kind of screwed. Like, every time a Jaeger gets destroyed, I mean, we're no spoilers yet, but every time, like, a Jaeger gets destroyed, because they've only got so many of them left, it's like, oh, damn, like, how are they going to, like, if they're going to get through this, they're going to scrape through it and no more. Like,
yeah, definitely.
This is the last stand. This is the last thing we can do. I mean, obviously, we're going to reignite it for the second one, because
this is the second one, yeah.
We need robots and monsters, but at least in this, I actually kind of like the backstory and how, like, oh yeah, the first time we had a Kaiju, we beat it with conventional weapons, we had planes and we had tanks and all that. But it took like days, and by the time we'd finished, there was so much damage.
Yeah,
and
it was like 3 cities were destroyed because they're going out with planes, tanks.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it worked eventually.
Yeah, but it took too long, and then they kept coming. Like, it was maybe like a year later the first time. But then that's one of the plot points of the movie, is that the window between incidents has been narrowing over time, and now we're at the point where it's like a week between them. And they're struggling to deal with it. So and like eventually like the scientist is like, hey, by the end of the week I think we're going to have 2 at the same time. Like that's how bad this is going to get. So it really it does have that countdown mentality. There's even a countdown clock in the
there is,
the movie.
yes, it's very literal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually counting up the way, but the idea is that every time there's an incident, it resets back, so they know kind of.
It has been X long since attack.
Yeah, except in this case it's giant kaiju smashing monsters and whatnot. Now, I really like the movie. There is criticisms to give it. There's things you can nitpick. There's definitely some major things to say. Hey, that part doesn't necessarily work all that well in terms of a thing. I think the first and foremost, I think most people come up with is the lead character played by Charlie Hunnam is just kind of a blank slate for which the movie happens around.
Kind of boring as shit.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, maybe it's just because we've been watching Smallville recently for the TV for the multiverse, and I mean, I will fess up, we're recording this one a little bit in advance. If you think, it's been like a month and a half since you did a Smallville episode, not for us. We're doing this a little bit in advance because we had time and we wanted to watch it. But like, he's okay in the sense that he's not as bad as someone like Tom Welling, where he's
not a bad actor
because he's not detracting from everything when he's around. He's just not adding anything either. He's just kind of level.
Honestly, I don't know how much is down to the acting, because I don't think he's that bad an actor. Like, he's not doing anything wrong. It's just there's no character to him either.
Well, I've never really seen them in anything really either, where he's he's anything else.
No, that's fair enough. But like I say, I mean, even if you give that role to someone else, in terms of just what's in the script,
yeah, that's fair.
I still think he's kind of a boring character.
You could have more charm, though, at the very least.
You could have more charm
with a better actor.
I'll grant you that.
So that's the thing. You do have some wacky characters though around him though. You've got Charlie Day and Gorman as the 2 scientists.
Both dialed up to 11, even by their standards.
Oh god, especially Gorman. Like his like eccentric British scientist voice is like so over the top.
I love it.
Later on when they're agreeing to do things, he's like, "By George, we're going to do it!" And he's so into it. It's like comical.
Oh yeah, the pair of them are fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean I always enjoy Charlie Day in these things. Ron Perlman has a small role. Of course, he's worked with Del Toro quite a few times. It was nice to see him even in a small capacity. Idris Elba, of course, we mentioned. He's kind of the guy running the whole Jaeger program. He's calling the shots, and he's doing that. So
he's probably the standout in terms of acting.
Yeah. I mean, he's great. I mean,
he is. He's Idris Elba.
I mean, this is a guy who people know mainly from the first 3 seasons of The Wire, where he just acted around people in circles. It was
yeah, he's fantastic.
So he's great. Obviously, our main character is Mako, who is the. So we're still on spoiler free, but I think it's the premise of the movie is that Charlie Hunnam's brother, because the whole idea with the Jaegers is that. The mental capacity that it takes to run the Jaeger is too much for one person to bear. Like when they first tested it, it caused like serious health problems, and because of that, it takes 2 pilots, and they have to link kind of. They call it the drift, where they drift together.
Yeah, it's this like psychic link.
Yeah, well they mind meld, and one uses the left side of the brain, one uses the right. I used the wrong sides there with my hands. Before anyone points it out, I know I did. Shut up. And. Basically, so they work together, and they're working together. So they're both doing the moves inside. They've got this kind of cool thing inside the I'll call it the cockpit.
Do you know what it's like? It's like those big VR things.
Yeah, but they've got the big sort of metal things that the legs are on, and it's moving with them, and
it's like one of those circular treadmill things.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And they're kind of working together. What was cracking me up though is this opening scene, the prologue, takes place in 2020, and they mention it's been 7 years since the war started, and I'm like, so that was present day. Like, the war was meant to start in 2013, present day. And it's funny that now we are, because I think at one point in the movie, Hunnam's character says, me and my brother fought that kaiju in 2017, and I went, huh.
Yeah.
We're past that now.
Yeah.
Let that go. So that's the way it works. In the opening of the movie, they fight this category 3? kaiju. They have categories basically for the size of them more than anything else, and they have 4s for most of the movie, and you know that by the end there's going to be a 5. I don't think that's a spoiler.
It's how these things work.
When the final fight comes, there's going to be a 5, because of course there is. But basically it's a bad thing, and it shows they're all a bit heroic, but ultimately the brother dies. He gets killed, and that is actually one interesting idea that I wish they'd explored more, because basically there's like one line from Hunnam where he mentions it, or maybe 2 lines, but the idea that because they were connected psychically when he died, like just the mental like turmoil that put him through.
Yeah, he felt him die. You just saw him. It was he physically like felt it. That's
a really interesting idea that I think like maybe it's not the sort of thing that a big budget monster movie should be tackling, but it's the sort of thing where, you know, for a little indie drama, that'd be a really good thing to explore. Is like but. So he's a replacement. He gets called back in after years of not being a pilot anymore for one of these things, and he ends up pairing with Mako, who's this. I won't mention because it's kind of spoilers as to where she comes from, who she is, but she ends up being his new co-pilot, and she's definitely the more interesting character of the two.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. Although she does suffer from the trope that someone kind of discovered last year. This was a weird thing where someone just happened to notice there was this trope in movies, and now that we've noticed it, we're going to have to try and avoid doing it. For some reason, whenever you have a badass Asian, female character specifically, they always have a streak of a different colour in their hair. And someone like went on Twitter and pointed at like 10 examples of like every American movie.
That's something I've known for a while.
And I'd never noticed it, and it was and someone pointed out, it's like, hey, can we like have a badass character who doesn't have the streak in their hair? It's one of these weird things. It's meaningless, but for some reason, every single person, every director who's made a movie,
I've noticed it for ages that I've been seeing that, and I never questioned it because it's like, all right, fine. It doesn't really have any impact.
No, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. But it's like once you've noticed, and it's like, yeah, like come on.
It's kind of getting boring because everyone's doing it.
It's become a cliche. It's become a cliche because it's been overused. Scott Pilgrim had it. Tons of examples. Anyway, it's a minor point in the movie though. But so she becomes a new partner, and they kind of bond, and she has to learn to be a pilot. And Idris Elba's kind of like the father figure, and he's like, no, you're not doing this, Mako. And she wants to do it. She wants to be this. The characters are definitely light, even though Hunnam's the worst of the bunch in terms of that. They're not exactly got a lot of depth to them. They're kind of who they are for the story. But I don't think it betrays or insults you because it doesn't necessarily treat them like they're anything more than what they are. They're there as vehicles for the plot.
I'd say Mako and Idris Elba have the most character.
Yeah.
Like they've got actual backstories that factor into things. Whereas Hunnam's backstory, we see it at the start, but it never actually factors into anything. It never comes up again, like you say. It's never important.
Yeah, not really. No, they're very thin characters, but they're very B-movie in that way, and I think it's almost intentional. Like it's a big B-movie.
It is.
It kind of doesn't want you to take it too seriously, but it has fun with it. And while we're still on spoiler free, we'll say that the actual fighting, the Jaeger versus Kaiju fights, especially when we get to the sort of the big main one in the middle of the movie in Hong Kong, because most of the movies is set in Hong Kong. They're in the base that's in the shore of Hong Kong, and that because I think it's the nearest place that's closest to the rift, because their mission involves going to the rift towards the end of the movie. But I was thinking of this actually during the movie because they keep showing you how different places get attacked, and it's all places that are on the Pacific. Whether they're on one side
of the coast,
whether you're on the Asian side of the coast or the US side of the coast, but it's always like you see Australia get attacked at one point. That's the one where you see it break through the wall, and it's next to the opera house. Like, that opera house is screwed. And you see various Asian countries getting attacked and stuff. And I was just sort of thinking, for everyone who's on the Atlantic, whether you're on again east or west side of it, like this whole war is just kind of like, oh, that's going on on the other side of the planet. Not affected us yet. I mean, it would eventually, of course, if the monsters keep coming.
Keep going over it.
Yeah, and run over. But the entire war up until this point, everyone that's on the East Coast is just kind of like, it's fine. It's been fine. New York's, New York's always attacked in movies, but this one movie's the one where New York is never even touched.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just thought it was amusing, but Yeah, the fights are very good. In fact, I actually remember seeing this the first time, and I came out of it saying, you know what, I'm convinced I want a new Power Rangers movie. And sure enough, since then, we actually have had a new Power Rangers movie.
I agree, the fights are great, and they're the high point. I do have a couple of criticisms, though, at times.
Oh, go on.
Sometimes I found it was a bit too dark, and it felt like it was trying to hide the CG, and that was mostly, I was mostly okay with it. Except there were points where I was struggling to tell which Jaeger was which. Generally speaking, they have very distinct designs when you can see them. But at points, I found it was a bit dark, and I was like, okay, which one's that there?
I think that's fair. People complained a lot at the time that all the fights took place at either night or underwater, and and it was raining. I just kind of like it. I think it builds an atmosphere. I especially like it when it's like, the Hong Kong fight and it's all the neon lights of Hong Kong. And
this is the thing. I like it from an aesthetic point of view, but I did sometimes have trouble with it actually in the fight.
Well, you'll be delighted to know that all the fights in the trailer for the second one seem to take place in broad daylight. So,
fantastic.
So so the second one's having a different spin on it in that sense.
Oh no, so I don't dislike the idea in general. Yeah. Just at times I was like, okay, a little bit of light would have helped here.
I'll agree that occasionally, sometimes which Jaeger's which, when there's multiples involved, it can be a little tough depending on which one it is. But no, I think the fights are pretty good. Typically, they're exciting. There's some really cool moments. We'll talk about those in the spoilers, but I think the fights are generally pretty enjoyable. I think the music's generally pretty good.
I have a love and hate relationship with the music. I think it's mostly fantastic, but it has the main theme, which it uses on everything. It overuses the main theme like far too much. It's a good theme, don't get me wrong, but it's so constant. I'm like, just do something different, please. Just give me a break from this. Like, I like this riff. It's cool. It's going to be in my head for like 3 weeks, but something else.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, exactly. But they put it even underneath other pieces that are playing. It's doing all this other stuff, and then that'll come in just underneath. I'm like, they didn't need to be there. I get it. That's your theme. You want to remind me, but give it a break.
It doesn't bother me. I think it doesn't bother me because it's the type of movie where you're going to blast the main theme over and over again. Because it's a big me movie with heroes in it. Like, I feel like
this is the thing. It even comes in at what are supposed to be like, sweet moments between characters where there's no big things happening.
Okay.
I'm like, this didn't need to be here now.
It's kind of the opposite problem I have with some other movies where I feel like they don't have main themes for their characters and they never do it.
Yeah, no, it's
which I actually find way more infuriating because I feel like, no, give it an identity. Even if you overdo it, I'll accept that because at least it's still doing it mostly right. Whereas,
it's infuriating. I want a break from it at times. I didn't need it in every moment, but it's annoying. But I do actually like it still, like as a theme.
Well, most of my other criticisms beyond the characters being thin, particularly Hunnam. Although, I mean, most of the characters are quite likeable. I like Elba, I like Mako, I like the scientists, I like the older Australian pilot. He pilots with his son. His son is a complete dickhead. He's supposed to be a dickhead, although I think he's a bit just too cartoony dickhead. From the minute he meets Hunnam's character, he's just saying these awful things to him. And it's like, you're just like... Because the scene ends with they're in like the cafeteria after they've all been introduced to the Jaegers and where they're stored and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And Hunnam, and the older guy, he's friends with Hunnam, or not friends, but they respect each other because they had like a mission together before when he piloted with someone else, and he's like respecting of him, and the son's just a complete dickhead. And when he goes away, he says something. Oh, he's a good boy, but sometimes I don't know whether to hug him or give him a kick in the arse. And I'm like. And Hunnam, to the character's credit, says, with all due respect, I'm pretty sure which one I know it is. And I think that's the problem with his character, is that, no, it is clearly he needs the shit kicked out of him. He needs to be, he needs some respect beaten to him, Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
There's no ambivalence, he's an asshole.
Oh, he absolutely is.
Now, of course, by the end of the movie, he earns respect. I actually almost thought they whiffed in that a little bit. Again, keep it away from spoilers, but I think the moment where he... rightfully kind of learns to respect Hunnam, I think they'll almost gloss over it too quickly, where you don't even get that moment.
Yeah.
It's like, it has changed. You hear a couple of lines that indicate that he's changed his mind, but...
You know what? I think it would have been more fun if they just played into it even more and gone, even though, Hunnam's, the hero and whatnot, it's like, nah, still don't like you, you prig. Like, just because he was so cartoony over the top with it, I feel like you should have just played into it. Don't give him the redemption. Don't change him. Just
I don't think that would work with the rest of the third act, but yeah, sure.
I know.
Given everything else that happens with the characters, I don't think that would work at all. But
it just disappointed me a little.
So no, I'll critique his character. All my other critiques though are mainly just some minor nitpicks with some third act stuff, and they're minor. They're not big deals, but just one or two things here or there. But yeah, so that's good. I will say before we get to spoilers, I'm kind of a weird opinion when it comes to Guillermo del Toro. I'm not a huge fan of his movies. I like him a lot. As a person, I feel like I could sit and talk with that man for hours and hours. His movies, though, the ones that most people love and say, oh, these are the great Del Toro movies, funnily enough, they don't do that much for me. There's something about them that just, like, his style just doesn't work for me. Bizarrely, the movies of his that I really like are the ones that everyone thinks are the weak ones, namely Pacific Rim, and then I really like Mimic. Most people don't like Mimic, but I love Mimic.
Fair enough. I don't really have much of an opinion on him. I like some of his stuff well enough, but
yeah,
I don't outright love any of it.
Yeah, like, I think Pan's Labyrinth is a well-made movie, but like I don't know, I didn't do that much for me.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And I hated that one he did a couple of years ago. What was it? Crimson.
Oh, Crimson Peak. That was shit.
I hated that with a passion.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty mediocre at best.
Yeah,
that wasted its concept.
But I just wanted to put that out there because I do have this kind of like minority opinion when it comes to Del Toro, which is weird. I actually wish I liked his movies because I think he's a great guy. Whenever I hear him speak, I'm like, yeah, you're a cool dude. But for some reason,
I wish we'd have got his Justice League Dark. I'd have loved to see what he did with that. That'd
have been interesting. Of course, he always sets up about 50 million projects and then ends up doing one or two of them at the end.
Yeah.
But, so no. And of course, I'm looking forward to. I have not seen Shape of Water as of yet. Hopefully, I've seen it by the time we get to Best of 2017. Which
yeah, me too.
I don't actually think we've mentioned actually that we pushed the movie Best of stuff back so that we could see a bunch more.
This is not the right video to tell them.
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
By the time that this goes live, that should have been live already.
Probably, or it'll be close to it.
It'll be like give or take a week or two. Yeah.
But we've pushed it back so we can catch a bunch more 2017 movies. I've got a big to watch list to
we're doing it with all the award stuff. In February, March.
Yeah. So that should be us plus Matt doing our.
Yeah, I got roped into this somehow.
You are, yeah. I think 3 opinions is good. But anyway, so I think we'll go to spoilers then for Pacific Rim. Yeah. So I guess my criticisms of the final act would be that it's not as good as the middle fight. I think the Hong Kong fight and all that stuff surrounding that are definitely the high points of the movie. I do think Hunnam's character should have died.
Agreed. I think also it's a little bit video game in the way that when the Category 5 kind of comes up.
Oh sure, yeah.
Full final boss. It's a little bit too video gamey compared to the rest of it.
It kind of makes me grin a little bit though. I'm not.
I get it. It's just the way it was shot. It kind of does the side shot and watches him kind of come up.
I'm going to give them credit though because I hadn't seen this since 2013, and my memory of this final fight underwater was like, oh yeah, they sort of go down the pit and like set off because they set up that their Jaeger, the one that our main characters are in, Gypsy Danger, that's older school, so that's nuclear powered, so it's analog, which is a big plot point in the middle of the movie when like an EMP takes out like
all the others,
and they have to be the savior. But so they go down the idea is they're going to set off a bomb in the rift to close it. That's the idea. It's simple enough, and they're going down. But I remembered that, but I didn't necessarily remember the fight in itself being that cool. I was surprised actually seeing it again that there was actually a few cool moments in the fight that kind of pepper it so that it doesn't just feel like all this back and forth punching with the monsters in the water. I'm thinking specifically when Gypsy Danger actually slices the Category 4 in half with the sword.
I tell you as well, I like before the fight starts when they're kind of walking around, it's like, all right, where are they? And they're going, oh, it's on it's 3 o'clock, and they're looking around, going, I don't see anything. Yeah,
so it's almost submarine sort of combat.
Yeah, I really like that section.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like the idea that when they walked in water, they could walk really far into the water and they'd still be above it because they're so tall. Like it would be like Do
you know what? That's probably my biggest complaint with them. I want jetpacks on these things. I don't know if the second one has it, but I want jetpacks.
I don't think it was in the trailer. It would not shock me though if Act 3 of the second movie, someone hits a button
how good would it be if these things started flying?
Because think about it, there's a monster in this that does that with the wings, where halfway through the fight, it's like, oh, sprouts wings and starts flying, which leads us to the Power Rangers moment of Megazord power now, where they're like, oh no, we got one thing left in the tank, we got a sword, and then it's like, ching,
I love it. Yeah.
and it's like, oh.
No, but how good would just like a jetpack on the back of it be?
I know.
I'm just thinking, not even just to go up, but just across the top of the water, just flying forward.
We did get Rocket Elbow for the punch.
We did. That was pretty cool.
That is peak B movie cheese. Is like, all right, enable Rocket Elbow.
These are the things where I think this is a great movie for this stuff. It's like, nah, let's just throw in the stupid shit and have a lot of fun. I remember being excited from the trailer about the ship bat, and by ship bat I mean the giant ship that is used as a baseball bat, because the middle chunk of the movie, because obviously Idris Elba's been telling Mako, no, you're not allowed to do this, and they try and meld, in the drift briefly, and it doesn't work. She this is actually how we get her backstory, is that she gets, like, you can get kind of like trapped in your memories because you don't focus, and because Hunnam's connected, he sees all this, and we see that she was in like a little girl when presumably the first year of the war. It's had to have been early, because
it's been 12 years.
Yeah, she's so much younger, and
because it's 2020 at the start, which was 7 years, and then it's been 5 years jump to most of the movie. So yeah, that makes sense though. If it's been 12 years and she's like, say, 24 or even 22 just now.
Yeah, it can't have been the very start because they had Jaegers.
Oh sure, yeah. So a couple of years in.
Couple of years in.
Let's say she's 20 then, and she was 10 in that.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. But she was a little girl, and and I actually love this flashback. She's running away from this kaiju on her own. And it's just this visual of this big thing chasing this little girl who's like tiny.
It's got a real atmosphere to it.
It does. It feels like this because eerie because there's no one else around. It's just her.
Yeah, it's like this haunted city.
Yeah. Which do you know what I like about that is I like that. Oh, it wasn't really like that. It's just how she remembers it. Like it's her memory, so it's like kind of
distorted to fit how she remembers it. Yeah,
and she hides, and then you hear the Jaeger come in, and like you see some punching, and we don't actually see the end of the flashback until later on when Hunnam kind of like tells Idris Elba what he saw. But again, it's very idealized where he steps out of the Jaeger and he's on his own. Yeah. And they actually mentioned that he actually piloted that himself for a brief time.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing I'd have liked more on. We keep telling how the brains get fried, and we saw Hunnam do it right at the start. When his brother dies, and he kind of gets back to shore, but then collapses instantly. And it's like the Elba's just like, nah, I got this. He's just going around like, and he seems to be having no problem. He's like, Hunnam was struggling to walk back to shore, but Elba's fighting this kaiju. Like, I want to know what's so good about this guy that he can do this.
He's a foot taller. He can take it. It's kind of like how if you're bigger, you can handle more alcohol.
Yeah, sure. He's just got more in the coolness factor.
He's also dying because of it. Let's not forget that.
Well, no, to be fair, he's not dying because he was on his own.
Okay, the radiation as well. Okay, look, I get it, but still, I'm saying there is consequences for his time in the Jaeger. Right?
There is, but not for specifically being on his own in the Jaeger.
Sure, but hey, he's died. So he's going to get a hero at the end. That's ultimately good. But anyway, so they've tried to meld, it didn't work, and he's grounded. He's like, no, you're not going out there. So these two kaiju come at the same time, two Category 4s, and they send out, obviously, our main sort of advanced Mark V Jaeger, which is what the Australians are driving. You've got the Russian one, which is the big bulky, like, Mark I kind of machine. Very...
Oh, that's cool. I like it.
And then you've got the fancy Chinese triple-armed with... piloted by triplets. Jaeger. Honestly, if I have one complaint about just I wanted to see more cool stuff with the Jaegers, is that the Russian and Chinese Jaegers get taken out relatively quickly. I was like, I could have done with seeing them pull off.
Yeah, they were the most unique ones.
Yeah.
So you see kind of the generic ones by comparison is what we kind of spend our time with.
That'd have been nice, but hey ho. I will say this though, from the trailer, the variety of Jaegers in the second one looks pretty fun, and they're all completely different colours. They actually almost feel like Power Ranger colours in the way that one's bright green, one's red.
I think they all have really distinct designs.
Yeah.
Like here, and when I look at them, when they're in their own lineup, I go, oh yeah, I can tell you which is which instantly.
Joe, it's funny though. Despite the fact that we're saying, a lot of it's at night and it's making it a lot harder to see things, I do think typically though, the movie has a very sort of bright comic book pop colour sort of feel to it.
It does, yeah. It's why it kind of stands out a bit more as a problem.
The second one ramps that up because they're in broad daylight. You see all the Jaegers. There's a shot at the end of the trailer for the second one where all the Jaegers kind of like pull out their special weapon. Like one's got a big driller hand thing.
You know, I'm gonna go away and watch this trailer after this, right?
You have to. It looks great.
I'm kind of shocked I've not seen the trailer in the cinema yet.
It'll be coming. The movie's out in March, so there has to be.
Yeah,
has to be soon. So they've been told you're grounded, but then of course it's kind of like these monsters are evolving, that they're coming with better things. It's like they're being grown, because we kind of learn that later on. We'll talk about how we learned that, but they're kind of being grown by this alien race to, like, you know, come in and kill everyone and cause destruction so they can take over the planet. But they've come with one that's equipped with an EMP, like a natural EMP, which disables, and, like, you know, the Australian team are like just they're on their own.
Stood there. Yeah,
they're screwed. They're going to be like absolutely mauled. And it's actually really eerie when the monster's just like walking around them as it's standing there.
Yeah.
It's a really cool atmospheric moment. And it's like, oh crap, we have no Jaegers. And then like, but Gypsy Danger, that's analog.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, go. So he has to, you know, Elba's not happy about it, but he has to let them go because it's the only chance they've got. And it comes in and just saves the day. Like, it fights like one of the monsters. It has that moment where it gets thrown into like the shipping yard. And the feet just sort of scrape across the ground as it's trying to like get back up. And then, now as cool as Shipbat is, I'd forgotten how great this other moment is here, where Gypsy Danger just grabs like some shipping containers and just starts bashing the head of the Kaiju with the shipping containers.
Oh, it's so good. And you know, we talk about how the designs of the Jaegers are all really distinct.
The Kaiju,
yeah, the Kaiju have some great looking designs.
They feel related. Like, they're similar enough that they feel like they're part of the same kind of like assembly line, but they all have their, like, the first one at the start of the movie is like a big hammerhead kind of shark type thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously one of the ones in this fight is like crawls on all fours. It's got a tail, and then it has wings at the end. And
they're all pretty distinct. That I go, okay, that's its own thing, and you know, you can tell what they give them all nicknames, of course, because of that.
Actually, here's a prediction, or not prediction, just a question for the second one. Do you think that by the end of the second movie, multiple Jaegers join up? Do they transform into a super Jaeger?
God, I hope so.
Or a mega Jaegerzord, if I want to use the correct terminology.
I mean, well, we're not getting another Power Rangers movie, so do it.
Unfortunately,
I really like that.
But yes, so we had this big fight in Hong Kong, and the funny thing is that the other Kaiju, whilst, you know, Gypsy Danger's dealing with the first one, the other one's actually hunting down Charlie Day, because Charlie Day drifted with a part of a brain, a Kaiju brain, which basically means the Kaiju are also, because it's a two-way street, they can see him as well. So one of them is actually hunting him, and he's in Hong Kong trying to get like black market. Because this is actually just some subtle stuff that's in the background, but I kind of like how people had built like buildings around like the rib cage of like an old Kaiju and stuff that had fallen. Like, you see they've built like civilization around it. That was pretty cool. And they've got shelters ready because this happens relatively frequently now in this world.
Yeah,
and all sorts. But they come for Charlie Day, and Charlie Day, like, being terrified of the Kaiju is phenomenal.
It's glorious. He's really great in this movie, like shockingly great.
And after this fight's all done, and they've killed the Kaiju in the street, and they go to like collect it and get like the brain and stuff, and it's pregnant. Like, a small Kaiju comes out of it. It chases Charlie Day down the street, and it's chasing him, and it actually only dies because it strangles itself on its own umbilical cord as it's chasing Charlie Day. I thought, this is an insane idea for a scene, but I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And then you got Ron Perlman just stood there watching all this and chewing the scenery as he is wont to do.
Yeah, he gets eaten because he's acting all cool, and he gets eaten. And
he's like, "See, told you, I knew this was going to happen."
But there's a mid-credit scene, of course, where he cuts himself out of the stomach of the Kaiju, and he's upset because his fancy shoe is somewhere else.
No getting rid of Ron Perlman, is there?
No, I don't know if he's going to be in the second one. I don't think Hunnam is, but I think Mako. I know Charlie Day is. He's definitely in it. Cool. We got Boyega, who I think is meant to be Idris Elba's son. I'm not entirely sure.
See, that's the thing. That was the one thing I'd heard a while ago about that movie, and I'm like, okay, but it doesn't really line up for me.
I don't think it doesn't not line up, because at the very least, I buy that he's not around in this because, well, it makes sense that he'd want to keep his son safe somewhere where the fighting's not happening.
Yeah, but it really seems strange that he'll let Mako be there and bring her in under everything, and then his son's just not, and he kind of treats Mako like a daughter.
I mean, maybe he's hiding her from his real family. Or maybe it's something he doesn't know about, or maybe this is just speculation that someone said, because I didn't make this up, I heard this. Someone...
No, I remember hearing this as well, yeah.
And I think, especially when, I think it was when people saw that he was using his actual accent, like Boyega's English in it.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the natural assumption. Oh, maybe he's meant to be related to Idris Elba from the first movie. It makes sense, but I mean, we'll see. But I think Mako's back, which is nice, because she was definitely the better character out of the pair.
Oh, absolutely.
But no,
I just checked the IMDb. He is credited with the same surname.
Oh, there you go. So he must be.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a nephew.
I mean, it could be, but they're not going to. They're just going to do son, aren't they?
Yeah, it gives us a bullshit reason as why we never heard about him in the first one. He was an estranged son. He didn't know he had a son.
Oh, God. Don't do that. Just get on with it. Just do the fun.
It's fine.
Do the fun fighty bits, please.
In the trailer, Boyega's like... and this is why you know he has to be related, because in the trailer for the second one, he's giving a speech.
Like father, like son.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Well, let's put this way, though. Boyega is infinitely more charismatic than Hunnam.
I can agree with that. We'll see what his character's like, because I mean, it's not the character
could be bland, but you said you said that Hunnam brings no charm to the role.
Oh sure, yeah.
Boyega should do that at the very least.
But so yeah. So anyway, so back to this big fight. Great stuff. Then the thing sprouts wings. They're fighting in the city. Ship bat falling through the sky. All of it's exciting. Really good stuff. And then it's basically time for the third act, because it's like, okay, well, we've solved that, but we have to deal with this plan, because there's going to be we're going to be overrun with these monsters. Yeah. And they basically just find out as well that the rift won't be closed. It's like it doesn't open for them. Yeah. So they have to take down a kaiju with them to open it, and then they can blow it up and seal it and whatnot. I would have let Hunnam die. I was surprised when he survived as well. I thought a sacrifice would have worked well there. And I will say, though, I was very glad that they did not kiss at the end, because there's a moment at the end when both Mako and Hunnam are on the little pod that brought them back up to the surface, and it looked like they were going to kill him. Like, no, this has been platonic. Keep it platonic, please. And luckily,
there
was no kissing. I appreciated that.
Yeah, none of that yucky kissing ruining your fight monster movie.
No, I don't. I'm all for relationships. I didn't feel like they'd earned it with this pair.
No, I agree.
I will say though, surely, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be bringing like science into this, but surely surely the depth that they were when they went down into the water and then down into this pit, like surely there should be some issues with them rising to the top so fast.
Get the bends.
Because decompressing's a thing when you go.
Yeah.
When you deep dive,
It is. Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I'm not going to let it ruin the movie for me.
It's a pressurized cabin. The pods that they're in, it's pressurized.
That's your argument, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, you wanted to bring science into this. I'm bringing bullshit science back.
To be fair, I mean, the door flies off when it opens as if it,
Yeah, as if it's got force coming off it.
So, I mean, maybe that makes sense. I'm no expert in this. It was just something I was thinking about as she was shooting up so fast from the bottom. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. If we start getting into the science of this, though.
Oh yeah, we're going to.
Then I'm never getting jetpacks on my robots.
Oh, of course. I mean, I was because later on there was like 8 helicopters fly out one Jaeger to like the water, and I'm like, would 8 helicopters really be able to hold the weight of this bloody thing? Look at the size of it.
Yeah.
It's like 100 foot tall and like nothing but metal and.
Stop questioning things and enjoy the fighting.
I was enjoying the fighting. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I even enjoy some of the. I enjoy scientists. I enjoy Mako. I enjoy Elba.
It's fun.
It was good. I think this is exactly what I want when I want a dumb big movie.
Popcorn movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't actually treat the audience like idiots. It acknowledges this is dumb, accepts it's dumb, and let's have some fun with the dumb. As opposed to whereas Michael Bay, if you ever talk to him about a Transformers movie, he tries to justify every little bit of bullshit, and it's like, just have fun with it. And obviously, of course, on top of those movies like are full of like bullshit, and they'll be a bit sexist here, or they'll have like contrived character like arcs there, or they'll but full of stupid stuff that insult your intelligence along the way. Whereas this, I feel like, no, if you're on board for the giant robots fighting the giant monsters, you're not going to be...
It's kind of all you need, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't need to come out of this and go, oh, it did something that completely betrayed what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
No. So if you thought the idea was stupid, you'll think the movie's stupid. But
oh, definitely.
But if you like the idea, if you want to have some fun, I think you can get a lot out of Pacific Rim.
Me too. It's a blast.
I'm glad you liked it. I was kind of a little bit worried that you were going to be one of these idiots, one of these naysayers.
You know I'm down for big things fighting.
Mm-hmm. But no. So naturally, we will be reviewing Pacific Rim Uprising, or 2, as I'll call it, when it hits. In fact, let me get who the director was.
Stephen Esternight.
Ah, yeah. I thought that was the one I thought it was.
But you second guessed yourself and didn't want to say it in case you were wrong and you look like a cock.
Basically, he's worked. He worked on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I'm aware of that. He did a Daredevil as well, right?
Yeah, he worked in the first season of Daredevil. So that gives enough cred where I'm like, oh. Now, admittedly, he was the writer on these things. I don't know how much directing he's done.
That's a fair point.
He may not have done much directing as of yet. But hey, everyone gets a chance. Oh, he's got a few things. He directed some episodes of Daredevil. Did a couple of them. Oh, did a couple of episodes of Smallville. My.
Really? And any notable ones?
Episode called Justice from 2007. That may be the Justice League one.
That's the one from I think season 6, which is that the one where they formed the league.
5, 6, yeah, something in that range.
Yeah.
I did a few episodes of Angel, which it makes sense if he was writing on that show and then he got a chance to. That often happens.
Yeah, that's pretty normal.
Yeah, they get a chance to like move up and direct. So this is his first movie though, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. So no.
I mean, to be fair, this is maybe a good place to start in movie directing because it's like, well, you just need to have some things fight and people are going to be happy.
You say that, but I don't think most filmmakers would recommend your first movie be something that's this CG heavy and this.
Oh no! I mean, in the sense of okay, if the plot ends up thin, you just got to make it look good. That's all you got to do here. Make it look good.
Okay. So I'm hoping I have the same amount of fun with this one as I did the first, and I think there's potential. I think it's sitting in such a nice place where I really like Pacific Rim, but it's just the right amount where 2 could surpass it without it being unbelievable that it does so.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
But yeah, so more variety in the Jaegers seems to be a thing in the second one. But before we get there, we have to rate the first one. So, Connor,
it's a solid 8. It's not the best movie ever, can't say that, but I had a damn good time watching it.
Well, I'm happy to agree with the 8 out of 10, especially since I have now watched it again. And it's not even just I watched it again quickly, I watched it again after a couple of years of, time away from it, and I came back, and I wasn't sure, will this hold up? Will it feel more of a chore to get through? Will it feel like it's dragging? I'm happy to say no. Unlike a lot of, I think, modern blockbusters, I feel like some of the Marvel movies are a bit of a drag to watch again after some time.
Yeah, no, I find that a lot of blockbusters, I'll give a rating, they'll kind of go down over the next year or two.
Yeah, I feel
I enjoy the spectacle of them and the fun in the cinema. When I come to watch them again, I'll find okay, there's not really much here to keep me on a rewatch.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not even just that in a broad sense, just the idea that they're a bit more bloated and they don't keep their pacing as tight. I feel like this holds up pacing wise pretty well a couple of years later. Whereas even just the thought of watching Captain America Civil War from 2 years ago makes me groan a little bit. But I'm going to have to do it before Infinity War, because I've only seen it the once and I barely remember most of it.
You're a brave man. I'm not bothering.
The point I'm making is that so many blockbusters now are superhero movies, and this was a nice, even in 2013, it was a nice, I enjoyed a big dumb blockbuster that wasn't a superhero movie. It was something else. It was... it almost felt unique just in comparison to all the other blockbusters that were coming out.
No, it's true, and I like it definitely doesn't take itself seriously.
Oh yeah,
which
absolutely.
A lot of the other ones do.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it takes itself seriously enough that it's not just poking fun at itself constantly, but it doesn't take itself seriously where you're like, oh, it thinks it's like this serious drama about human condition or anything like that.
It knows it's big things punching other big things.
And my hope is that Pacific Rim 2 will have that same kind of vibe. And from the trailer, it feels like it does. It feels like, no,
here's what I want. I want bigger things and more punching.
from the trailer, it feels like no, this is a big live action cartoon, and we're doing it. Like that's what it feels like. So, I'm going to watch Connor react to the trailer as soon as we're done because I'm curious.
You know, I'm going to go watch it on the big TV.
Oh, don't be a dick.
Well, I am. Sorry.
Oh. Well,
I want it on the big TV with the big speakers.
All right. Well, that's
you know that. I want that sub to even if it's a trailer. I still want my sub for going crazy.
All right. Well, that's Pacific Rim. So you can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can obviously support the show on the channel by heading over to patreon.com/MelfishTV. There'll be a link in the description. There'll be a vote on this month. I don't know what it is because we're recording this in advance, so there'll be a vote for the $5 patrons. So
it's there. Go have a look.
So you can go check that out. Remember the Vault, of course, as well. You can head over to Patreon and see what that's all about. I'm too tired to explain it. So that has been this episode of 121 in Flux. That has been Pacific Rim. A good fun time. If you're into this kind of thing, which we absolutely are. So, yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.